everyone, and welcome back to Blue Balloon Theatre's, Be Inspired podcast, which is, you guessed it, a chance for you to be inspired by a whole load of creatives from the performing arts industry. And today I've got the wonderful Luke Richards here with me. Hello.
Hi guys.
How are you doing?
I'm good. It's just one of those days where it's a full-blown Friday, just meeting after meeting. So this is my second meeting of three today. So yeah, I'm good. Just a lot of Colombian coffee, a lot of water, and I'm doing okay. As I say, I'm doing all right, Jack. So that's all I can say, really. I'm doing good. Just doing good.
Good. Just about. Oh God, what a
All
whirlwind.
the shakes.
So what are you working on at the moment?
So the meeting I had is with a YouTuber who does live escape rooms. I'm not going to telltale because, or not telltale. So I'm not going to reveal who it is until a bit later on. But at the moment, I've had a meeting with that one. Then after this one, I got a read through for a film that I'm doing that's going to be shooting in Liverpool, and just recently coming out this month, I've got a live recording of a show that I did with Vertigo Theatre Productions called Noir, and it's as the name says, Noir. It's a stylized show that we did back in 2017 and that we did again this year in a big warehouse, and from what I've seen footage-wise and stuff, it looks really good.
Wow. You're so busy.
I know, just no rest. I mean, it only feels like this week that things are starting to come back to normality in a way.
Yeah.
Since the start of lockdown, I think I've never took the time just to take a break and just be like, yeah, what do I want? What do I want to do? And I've just taken time to obviously self-care, and obviously, I think everyone, we've all been through the grinder. We've all been through the hard times and bad, and now that things are starting to come back and there's more opportunities coming, I've just took the time to take the skills that I've learned from lockdown and the developments that I made, not just through networking, but obviously with you when we did the Christmas show, and yeah, I've just tried and use that positivity to move forward, while accepting that it's not going to be like this all the time, but you know what, it just feels good to have at least some sense of normality in this crazy time.
Yeah, definitely. You know what? Excuse me. I do admire your work ethic though. Like, even though, like you were saying, you could have maybe taken a little bit more time to just sort of breathe, figure out what you wanted to do. Like, you work so hard, and it really shines through in like, on your social media. You're always working on something, which takes me really nicely onto what I saw recently. You made a horror film in your flat. I had to ask that.
I did, yeah. So the horror film's called If I Leave, Will You Let Me Go? And I just shot last week on Sunday. Like, I was just literally bored in the flat, and I'm a big fan of horror films, so I was just thinking, like, what can I do? And it was just like looking around, and then I don't know, just out of the blue in my head, it's like, do you want to make a horror film? It's like, yeah, okay. So it was just like a weird conversation with yourself where you're talking to, like, do you want to make a horror film? Yes. Okay. And then I don't know, I just literally got my tripod and my Samsung phone, and I just shot scenes around the flat, and there was no like layout story. I just thought, okay, well, this is the basis of the story. I've got the title. I've got ideas of where I want the character to be. I've got the props, and just in that whole day, I just filmed all around my flat. I went outside in the park to get outdoor scenes, and then throughout the night, I was just editing. And I think for me, I've always wanted to make a film, and I think, like a lot of creatives, we're discovering things about ourselves that we've not had the time to properly progress. And, I tried to make a film years ago that just literally fell apart on the first day because I didn't have the knowledge or experience. And as much as the filming went well, the next day all the footage was lost. So that was a punch in the stomach for me because I had little experience, and I think over the time that, like actors, we absorb what we learn, we take in things that we watch, what we see, and what we like, and we try to do that with what tools that we have. So with that, I just made the short film, and I was just playing around the editing, and I thought, no, black and white looks really stylish, and yeah, I mean, it's got a good response, and it's just one of those horror films where you can have your own interpretation. You can have someone said to me, is it about anti-lockdown? It's like, oh no, that's not my intention. It was just about someone who wants to go outside but they live in a house with a killer. So I know someone said it's very David Lynchy, which is okay, I'll take that. But I think just because I didn't want to sit down in the house all day, because I'm one of these people where I can't sit down for 5 minutes. I have to do something, and that's the view about actors and creatives. Like we like to relax, but we can't relax at the same time. We have to do something where it's just tapping or making something or writing something. We have to find that drive to get that boredom going. It's that thing of like boredom is both a curse and a gift.
Yeah.
Because it gives you that drive, and it was that drive that said, do you want to make a film, or do you want to sit in the flat all day just watching repeats of Netflix shows that you've probably seen twice during lockdown? So
yeah.
So I just took the time, and I had really fun editing it. I laid out some rules on what I was going to do with a horror film. Like, it only had to be 5 minutes. I had to find my own music. I've got to use my own editing tools. I can only use what's in my flat as props or something else. And I just had a really fun time. It just got back in that drive, really.
Yeah, that's brilliant. And that's amazing, the fact that you used exactly what you had. You weren't buying loads of new equipment or props or anything like that. You just went straight in with what you had, sort of set your own ground rules, so to speak, and just went for it. And yeah, it's just amazing that you did that. And I'm the same as you. Like, I need something to focus on all the time.
Yeah.
So I relate on that front. Which you kind of touched upon it there. Something I wanted to ask you about. You're an actor, creative, and you do so many other things as well. And I kind of wanted to ask you, when did you get into acting, and what other aspects of this industry interest you, and sort of how did you get into those as well?
Yeah, of course. So I got into acting quite a young age because I was born with minor autism. So at quite a young age, I found it quite hard to speak to people in the face. So without support, like if I was talking to you and I didn't have that support, I would probably be talking down my voice, and I wouldn't be making eye contact with you. And I was always that kid on the playground who was, one day they're going to be the T-Rex from Jurassic Park. The next day they're going to be the Red Power Ranger. And it was just that, it was like on the playground, that's when I could be like zany and wild, and I was always drawing as well. And I think it was someone suggested to my mum that I go to drama schools, like amateur dramatic arts. And because in those places they help you build your confidence, they help you build character, and those teachings that I got in those environments helped me grow as an individual. And it's unfortunate that amateur dramatic societies do get a bit of a bad rep, because it's like, obviously you'll work for free, you're not really doing anything. But those places actually build opportunities of people who do want to go into acting. And then I've always wanted to have that creative space and that drive, and it just came naturally. It was just like, oh wow, so this is acting. Oh wow, this is, I'm not scared anymore. I can speak now. I can speak people in the face. by looking at their forehead. Which is the key thing that was the first thing that I learned. Like, if you're going to speak to people and you find it hard to make eye contact, talk to the forehead, and because that way it looks like you are speaking to them.
Yeah.
And since then, it's just been something that I'm doing progressively. So I went into school, you know, the typical school play and nativity play, you know, Innkeeper 1, massive. My place is packed tonight. And then it went into high school, and then I think the point where I learned the grit of acting is when I went to college, because at college I went to High Clarendon in Tameside, and there I had a tutor called John Slater. Now, John was from Salford, so as you can imagine, the stereotype of someone from Salford is they've got no filter. They will tell you brutally honest. And through there, like, I made friends who were all bonding, connecting, and through John was one of those people that would just tell you straight to your face, where other tutors would be quite gentle, quite sugarcoating, like, you did well, oh, that's so good. John was like, nope, that's shit, do it again. If you're going to punch him, punch him. And I learned a lot from John. I love John's brutal honesty, like, that drive, like, if you are going to do something, your character has to have a reason to do it, and you have to show that. You can't just slap someone because it looks dramatic. Why are they slapping that person? And then he went on to university, and I think university was a great breeding ground because I had very little knowledge about these sort of like theatre styles, so like Dario Fo, immersive dance, and I'm one who just threw myself in, and just like it's at University of Salford. When people thinking Salford, people think, oh, it's rough and tough, but I learned quite a lot at Salford. I made great people from not just working class, but middle class and higher class, and you do learn quite a lot. Like, obviously, I think with us, we learn a lot about the most hardest thing in the world, postmodernism, or is there ever such a thing as postmodernism, or is it postmodernism?
Well, yeah.
Never got my head around that, but I loved what it created. And I think through those experiences, like, the more that I learned more about the industry and about myself as a performer. And I would say since graduating, it's just been, I've been through like I said, the grinder. Like, I've done extra work, I've done student films, and every production that I've been on has been a learning curve to where it's leading me to make the networking, connect with people, as well as exploring what I can do as a performer. So knowing my limitations, but at the same time extending on those limitations. So, I might say I may not be able to play the sexy suave guy, but I can play the brute who comes in to punch the sexy suave guy. And it's all about discovering new typecast. And I think with new actors now, I think one thing that's been lost with the new generation actors is accepting that rejection, because I think with actors, we do have to accept our flaws as well as our strengths. And with each thing that we do, we learn great things. I remember when I took my one-man show that I did at the University of Salford for my final degree. It was a 20-minute show. It's about the history of the Manchester music scene. It was called This Is Manchester, and I was playing Tony Wilson. And I took it to the Greater Manchester Fringe, and I had that very cockiness, like very young, like, oh, this is going to be great. I'm going to blow the doors open, and this is going to be the greatest show ever. I wrote and I directed it. I've done it myself, and I did 3 performances, and most of the reviews were negative, and it hit me. It was like, oh wow, oh, okay. But with that opportunity, I learned that it got me into the Manchester scene. It got me into that circle with friends and colleagues who I've met today and still working with, and it just made me it knocks the ego out of the way, because I think that's another thing, that actors do need to control the egos. As much as we want to be the one at the front of the stage, at the same time, ego can destroy you.
Yeah.
So, and since then, I've been on different productions and TV, film. I've started doing more writing now, which I'm really proud of. And yeah, I just always found out that you have to learn from the people that you work with, as well as accepting both your talents but also your flaws, because everything that you do, you learn from.
Yeah. No, you're completely right. And I completely understand what you mean, because I think when we go through training, we have that sense of safety within the walls of the institution we learn in. And so if we do a show or any sort of performance project, we have that level of confidence there. And so, like you said, when you came out and you did it at Manchester Fringe and you were so ready, you thought it was going to be great, and then you read the reviews, it's almost like that sense of reality, like this is really what the industry is like. It can really help guide you, I think. I know I've had moments like that in the past, where it could be through acting workshops, it could be through shows, and it's just kind of those little moments of reality and honesty from somebody watching or anything at all that can keep you so grounded and teach you so much. So I fully relate to that. But I really wanted to discuss with you kind of your approach as an actor, as a writer as well. And well done for getting into writing, because God, that's a whole different kettle of fish, isn't it?
It is. It's just like, oh God.
I wanted to ask about your process, mainly as a creative that has autism. Do you feel that it helps you as a creative? Do you feel that you have a slightly different way of thinking and writing and that kind of thing?
Well, with autism, for me, it's obviously I can understand characters who feel like they can't interact in social circles. So some more like let's say the outsider syndrome.
Yeah.
Where you always feel a little out. So I've always, my casting, even though I'm a big authoritative figure, and those are usually my typecast, like the Viking or the policeman, I had to do a play with my autism. It made me, I can play vulnerable, because I had been vulnerable. I had been in situations where I've gone from the greatest high to the greatest low, to points where I didn't want to talk to people. And I've taken those experiences with my life as autism, because I think now that the autistic community in acting are being heard and are being portrayed, because especially when we look at stuff that autism, there's only, from my view, there's only been very limited positive portrayals of autism compared to the many out there. So if I had to choose one bad example, to me it would be the new film with Sia, Music, because the problem with that film is that she tried to cover up the fact that she didn't know how to handle working with an actor who's autistic. And it's not hard to do. It's just obviously understanding what the limitations are in the space. Do they have a support bubble? Do they have, what kind of autism? Is it minor autism or severe autism, or is it sensitive autism? And, the fact that she used very outdated, in the film portrays outdated methods of handling someone with autism. So, for example, there's a scene where the character's having a bit of a panic attack, and she uses a holding down method, which is actually dangerous to someone who has autism, because they can bang their head on the ground, and she's saying it's like, I'm loving you. It's like, you're killing her. I'm literally shouting at the screen like, you're killing her. You're not helping. You're not loving her. You're killing her.
Yeah.
But I think with now autism, with that now, people are understanding that you have to listen. Like, with any person that you portray a character, it's important that you listen to the background, that you listen to the story, whether they are autistic or are from a different religion, different creed, or how they identify with like selected pronouns. I think it's all about how you play that role respectfully, or also putting yourself there. Because if I had to play, you know, a character who I had to do play where I had to play, don't play on words. I had to play a character who was identifying himself, was discovering his sexuality, but at the same time was autistic and was getting abused. So it was trying to play that balance of how to play being a big guy, because the character was written as a big guy. How do you show the vulnerability of someone who is discovering their sexuality at a very difficult time for LGBT rights, but at the same time has autism? And I don't just see it as like, okay, I've got to make sure I tick this box. I have to see that person as a fully fledged person. Because I think with writing as well, when you see characters on screen or like in superhero films, recently, one that gets a bad rep is the CW, like the superhero series, like Arrow and Flash, like they're just written as, I'm the black character, where in terms it should be focused on, okay, well, apart from the character's skin color, what are the strengths, what are the flaws, and what you know, what is their purpose? And it all depends on how that person performing and the writing, and you know, they go hand in hand. You know, the strength of it all, and it's all about that knowledge. And as a writer and actor, I always make sure that before I write something, I have at least some form of knowledge of what I'm writing, instead of just saying, okay, I'm just going to write this, and then halfway through just give up, just like, I'm done.
Yeah. No, I think that's really good. There seems to be like a level of sensitivity that you have towards characters that you take on, or writing that you pursue if you have a certain idea. And I completely agree, like doing your research about something beforehand, whether it's a character or you know, you have an idea for a piece of writing, it's a must, really, because you want to honor someone's experience as a human experience. You don't want to make it seem like they're any less of a person, like you said. So I think that's a really nice way of approaching it, in a way. I'm really glad that I asked you that. I mean, I'm loving this chat already. I've already got so many things going around my head going, oh, should I ask this? Should I ask this? I kind of wanted to touch upon the styles of theatre that you've done, and or the styles of film and TV, acting for screen that you've done as well, and ask what has been your highlight, what has been your favourite thus far?
God, trying to think through credits now. I was like, which one really stood out?
Get the Spotlight CV out, yeah?
Yeah, I should have looked at it before I came on here. So if I had to choose, I'll choose quite a few. I won't choose many. So if I had to choose a film that I really enjoyed, there was a horror film that I made called The Spawning, that I shot in Liverpool and Chester. And I was with the crew on set, because I was also the sound guy, and it felt like a guerrilla filmmaking. Like, we had this small string budget, but the drive of the actors on set and the director and the cast was so intoxicating. Even if we were just having cups of tea and ham sandwiches, that was the only thing that we could eat. The connection between cast and Bell, because I had to play a rapist in the scene. Which is not the easiest role to play. Nobody wants to say, "Oh, I want to go and play a rapist this morning." On set, you don't want to say that on set. And we were shooting it outside Chester on this bridge, and I felt really uncomfortable because the scene actually had me. I had to pull down the female actor's like trousers. I had to put my face right in her face, like, and do really disgusting stuff, say other stuff, and I felt really uncomfortable. And it was only, I'd say, after the second take that she and I had, that talk of like consent, and it's like, I'm feeling comfortable. She's like, look, I know it's not you, I know it's the character, and I know you can do this. And the director was supportive as well. Everyone was just so supportive. And it was so open and loving, and you know, the scene I watch it now, I'm still disgusted, like, oh, like that. But just the experience of that horror film, it was like my first ever proper film credit, and I learned so much from that, like how an actor, how TV acting or screen acting is different from stage, because with TV, you know, they're only seeing this. We're on stage, they're seeing all of you. So with TV and film, it taught me a lot about angles, how you move your body, how less is more. And even though I'm playing this really creepy character, like up in his face and these horrible things, at the same time, afterwards, we were all laughing. I mean, obviously we're not laughing at rape. Rape is awful. But we were just laughing at how it started out to where it ended. Because literally my character runs down with his arse out. So, you know, karma. But it was such a fun experience to officially be on a film set and to work with great people on this like really dark horror film. And the stories I could tell on the set, which I don't know what the age appropriation of this podcast is, so I'm going to be very sensitive and supportive. But yeah, no, if you do if this one comes out soon, it was fun. For stage, or I'm going to go to another one for a live event. So I did an art piece for an artist in home called Ori. I think her name was Ori. She's a Spanish artist. I need to find out her name. I'll probably tell you afterwards. I think Ori Tashri her name is, and she does like experimental art. So home were doing a tribute or like a special event which related to the freedom of Spanish art, because in the 80s, the government in that time went down and the censorship went down with it. And so many Spanish artists were open and free and doing these really risque stuff. So with Orit and three other people, I was in the gallery and I was naked along with the three other people. And her art project is called Monkey Bum Factory. And what would happen is, so you stand there naked and you have a painter painting your backside, literally the lower back and your bum. And what you would do is you would lay down on a piece of paper and just like push yourself down. And then when you help yourself get up, on the piece of paper, actually like a monkey, the shape of a monkey's face with the different colours. So that's why it's called Monkey Bum Factory. And it was really fun because, you know, it was that thing of I'm making an art gallery, and it was like brave because I was very conscious about my body at the time. I started having my receding hairline. I started losing weight a bit more, and I was starting to get more confident with my body. And, you know, I'm one of these people now where it's like, if I need to get nude for the sake of create art, but not if there's money, then yeah, great. But with this one, it was like, it felt natural, like it felt fitting. You know, there wasn't any fear of somebody like sneaking a photo, or there wasn't any fear of insecurity. It's like you stood there, you're naked, you're having your backside painted, but at the same time, you're working through people who are doing the same, and you're all being supportive. Because what the funny thing is that we actually stand in a line and wipe each other's backside. And so people were doing like, oh, so it's Monkey Bum Factory. Oh, but they're acting like monkeys. Oh. It was really funny because we saw all the artwork, and it's just amazing. Like, it looked all like, it was literally all different colors, and it was monkey shaped heads. And it's like, oh, wow. And so, you know, they do say you can make a lot with your backside. I'm like, yeah, okay. But it was just such a safe atmosphere, you know, for such a daring thing. It was just a safe atmosphere. And it was one of those moments where I felt really comfortable in my skin, in my body, and to work with amazing people as well. So those are the two things I would say stand out for me. But if I had to think of a theatre show, I just can't think of what. I mean, obviously I'll say Christmas show because we were in it. Yeah, stroke the ego. But I think the stage show, I can't really hit one because each stage show that I've done, I've always done some different or learned something.
Mm-hmm.
and I've enjoyed each experience. You know, I've worked on all sorts of shows, and I can't really think of any stage show that I've really enjoyed, because I've enjoyed each single one, because not only have I brought something, but it's brought something to me or made me learn something about myself. But if I had to say two shows that make you felt like invincible, it would have to be Monkey Bum Factory and The Spawning. And, you know, those two films have been great jump starts to where my career is now, where I've just had a TV series come out on Amazon. And it's always been that drive, like, you know, you're pushing yourself, you're daring yourself, knowing your limitations, but again, extending on your limitations, seeing how far you're willing to go, you know, the edge, as they say.
Yeah, definitely. That's so good. Yes. Honestly, I love it, like hearing your successes and hearing how much you've taken from each job that you've had is so amazing to hear. I feel very similar to you in that every job I've had has been so different that I've kind of had to take something different from each of them.
Yeah.
And you know, they've all had challenges within them, but you know, like you said, you extend on your range of comfort, so to speak. And so the more jobs that you do and the more different they are, that's how you become comfortable with the uncomfortable, and you become a well-rounded actor, creative, everything. So that's amazing. Is there anything that you would recommend to actors or to creatives in general of any kind, from your experiences?
I would just say, don't be afraid of failure. That's all I would say to people, because, you know, we, as actors, we do live with that unconscious fear of like, oh, what happens? People are not going to like this. People are going to hate this. And you have to accept, and like I said before, you have to accept your failure as well as your successes, because you learn so much from your failures than you do. Because it's like I did with This Is Manchester, if I didn't learn from that, I probably would still be struggling to this day to have this career. And I've learned so much. I've been in situations where, you know, I've learned so much from failure, from success and failure. And I've met people who had that same mindset as me. I remember somebody in acting class who said, oh, I want to be on Hollyoaks. I want to be on Hollyoaks. It's like, okay, that's great, but how are you going to get Hollyoaks? And they're just like, and it was just that thing of like, well, have you networked with anyone? Have you, you know, is it your first time acting? Have you developed, have you sent out messages to casting directors, or have you got a show reel? And, you know, I think for actors, you have to be prepared for failure. You have to go in with dragon skin. You know, you are going to get more no's than you are yeses. But from those no's, you can actually learn, like, you know, if I went for a singer, I'm not the best singer. But at least, like, if I go for a singer audition, I did well. I know that I've done it. I've shown them what I can do as a singer. Even if I don't get it, I'm proud that I actually did it. So then I can go, okay, well, maybe next time I can look at strengthening my vocals or looking at breathing exercises. And with each step that we take as actors, we're always learning. We can't stop learning. And I think that's for me as well. Like, I'm always wanting to learn, like, how do I strengthen my emotion? I mean, how do I strengthen my writing? And, you know, it's all about practice, practice, practice. It is true that you have to keep practicing. Even if you feel like you can't be asked, you still got to do something. Because I remember writing a script that I've had since I wrote when I was 13 years old. And then I only just discovered it like a few weeks ago. It's like, oh, wow, I was terrible. And then, but somehow in my mind, like, the cogs come back, and I started rewriting it because of the knowledge that I've gained over the time. So I think for actors now, it's don't be afraid of your failures as well as your successes. Networking is key. Always be supportive and grateful wherever you join. And if you do go into an audition, just show them what you can do. Don't just like a job. You just see it. Just enjoy what you can, and always keep learning. And yeah, you know, sometimes you can expect anything out of the blue. Like, obviously through networking, you know, they might go, oh, well, we need a tall person. Well, I know it's a tall person. Oh, because I worked with this before. And this. So, yeah, just be grateful is all I can say.
Yeah, I could not agree more. I think that is absolutely stellar advice to any actor or creative. You have to be really savvy in a way, like use every opportunity to network. I'm very much like that as well. And what's more is that I genuinely love meeting people. I love hearing their stories and, you know, how they got into performing or directing or writing, whatever it is. So yeah, definitely, I could not agree more. And my last question is, do you have any recommendations that have kind of come out of lockdown? Because it's been, as you said right at the start, it's been such a weird, turbulent time.
Yeah.
Is there anything that you would recommend to our viewers to watch or to listen to or to engage in that you have found like really helpful?
If I think I've watched quite a lot of online documentaries about obviously writing and filmmaking as well as acting, because there's a good series that I follow on YouTube which talk about actor traits. So, you know, how Toni Collette can play like that worried mother figure, but you can tell so much from her eyes as well as the expression of her face, like her eyes are showing. A book that had a great effect on me as an actor was the autobiography of Oliver Reed. Because if you read that book, you know, it's called What Fresh Lunacy Is This? And if you know the backstory of Oliver Reed, everyone thinks, you know, he's just this crazy alcoholic, you know, loud, shouting guy. But from what I read in the book, like, he was a man who, you know, he enjoyed life, he enjoyed being on the hill of, you know, he loved being with actors. He loved, you know, he liked to go a drink with the, not just the actors, but also like, you know, everyone in costume, set design. He, you know, he was a shy man, really. And for me, that meant so much because I felt shy like Oliver Reed, but he's, you know, films like, look at him in Oliver, like literally does so much. And that look, he says very little, but yet he has that effect on you because it's just how he plays Bill Sykes, and that look is like that. And yeah, I would just say to actors, just, you know, just keep learning and obviously knowing your limitations. You know, that series, I think it's called Feed the Elk or something with an elk, where it talks about an actor's career and what they've done. But also, I would recommend this on YouTube. This is called Joe Blow, which is Joblo, and this how it's called WTF Happened To, and they talk about actors who, you know, you may not think about as much, saying, you know, where are they now? Where's you know, what happened to Val Kilmer? It shows you, we have an outline of where they started as an actor to the height, to the low, and what they're doing now. And you'd be amazed like how many people, like actors that we don't see as much now or don't have that recognition more, have done so much afterwards, and they're in a place of happiness. Doing, you know, some have retired, like Rick Moranis. You know, he did care for his family, and, you know, his family, he still does now and then, but, you know, it's all about their journey and how, you know, it can have that connection with you. You can learn so much from a person who's been down in the dumps to a person who's been on the highest highs. So yeah.
Amazing. Yes, I'm literally like mentally noting all of those so I can go and check them out later. Well, thank you so much, Luke. You have been an absolute tonic today. You've been a breath of fresh air, and this has been so informative. And I'm sure for everyone watching on our YouTube channel, they'll really love this chat. I know it's been one of my favourites so far, and one of the others was with my own boyfriend. So I mean, that says a lot. But just thank you so much for your openness and for your time today.
No, it's okay.
And if if you want to take a second to like plug any of your social medias or any of your ongoing projects and that kind of thing, now is your time.
Yeah, so I'm on the tweet, I'm on the Insta, I'm on the gram, I'm on the Fiddybook. You'll probably share the Blue Balloon Theatre. I'll be there. Yes, there's Noir is coming out at the end of March. You can watch Ringside on Amazon. And yes, my new movie coming out. So
Oh,
that's all
yeah.
I can say, really. Girl, that's Queen.
We'll make sure that we put all the links in the description box for anyone that does want to check them out. I'll be checking them all out. I'll be like telling everyone that I know. I'll be like, you need to watch this. Thank you to everyone that's watched. We really hope that you have enjoyed our third of this podcast season. And yeah, we'll see you at the next one. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. See you later.
Bye.